Solar has been providing solar energy solutions to customers. With fully licensed electricians and installers, you can be sure that your solar installation will go smoothly. The team at All Energy Solar understands that every customer is unique. They'll take the time to survey and understand your property to find a solar solution that works for you. One of the biggest advantages of going solar is the opportunity to take advantage of the many solar incentives available. But it can often be confusing to know what you're qualified for. All Energy Solar professionals will help you find out what savings you can apply for and even help with your applications. This is especially important since many rebate programs have limited capacity and are first come, first serve. So it's important to have a professional on your side who will make sure you get every eligible rebate. Get a free no obligation assessment from All Energy Solar's commercial solar specialists by calling 800-620-3370 or visit allenergysolar.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 81. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 60. And Saturday, a chance for thunderstorms with a high around 86. From the bright personalities to the bold flavors, 30 Bales in Hopkins is the perfect gathering spot for anyone looking for a taste of the Midwest. Whether you're stopping by for a quick drink or settling in for a leisurely meal, you'll find plenty to love at 30 Bales. Located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins, more at 30bales.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. Good to be with you today. Matt, Patrick, Greg's here as well. Coming up here, this is going to be a very bipolar kind of show. We're going to go North Pole, South Pole quite a bit here. I got a lot to get to on this report about the Minneapolis Police Department. And yes, it's worse than we thought it was going to be, and we weren't exactly looking at a top-line review anyway. I'll get to that. But also, at 3:30 this afternoon, I get the privilege, this was what the interview I was geeked about talking about yesterday, Patrick. Austin Dury, were you here the last time we had Austin on?
Yes, we were, actually. We'll be looking forward to that.
Austin Dury is the brother combo of the band Dury. They've got their EP coming on out here, fairly soon. They got the pre-sale going on that. Also, they got a huge tour they're going to be doing coming up later this year, including they're going to be playing London, England, coming up here, I believe in early September, late August, early September. They're going to be playing London, and then, of course, they're playing. I got some observations I got to make about this. But Austin, I couldn't be happier for this band. They are brilliant. And yeah, I definitely want to. We're going to talk to him coming up here. He's going to give us some time. I get a gush. I'm a huge fan. That's coming up later on this hour. Then, of course, 4 o'clock hour, we're going to spend a lot of time once again on the Minneapolis Police Department. So let's talk about this. I'm going to just read from the first few paragraphs here of the Star Tribune story to begin with. The Minneapolis Police Department routinely engaged in a pattern of racist and abusive behavior that deprives people of their constitutional rights. So racist, so abusive, they were violating the Constitution. That's your Bob Kroll Minneapolis Police Department right there. Delmonico too. Now, hey, I'm not going to miss the point because this is something that has been pointed out to me multiple times already today. This has been going on for a long time. But something very particular happened about 20 years ago that I want to get into that got us to this point. That is the reason why they were violating constitutional rights with their racism and their abuse of the people. This wasn't, and there's going to be a lot of Republicans who are going to look at me after this and say, he was anti-cop. No. We didn't have this review of the St. Paul Police Department, Duluth, Rochester, Bloomington, Edina, Maple Grove, Woodbury, Stillwater, Rosemont. We don't have, this is not any other police department. This was a culture that was created specifically in the Minneapolis Police Department that led to those people thinking they could murder somebody in the streets of Minneapolis and there was going to be no consequences for that. That's how out of control they've got. And to show you how out of control they were, I want to remind people of the Stallings case. 3 days after they murdered George Floyd, they went hunting the people of Minneapolis. and tried to kill Jaleel Stallings and then beat him in the street. They opened fire. I remember the show when it was clear they opened fire on the media in the wake of George Floyd. And heaven forbid we skip past the implication from Bob Kroll's letter that he and Paul Gazelka were trying to usurp the governor and get Gazelka installed as the interim governor and Bob Kroll as the commandant of Minneapolis or something of that nature. We still haven't really fully understood this. But needless to say, this was as bad as you think it was, and worse. Because the Minneapolis Police Department was infiltrated by racists and bigots and just the worst of the worst. And they were given a carte blanche card to do whatever they wanted to do. And that's how you get to George Floyd. There was a ton of warnings when Jamar Clark happened that maybe, just maybe, someone should go and start looking into this. But, yeah, I'm going to guess the cowards, the whiny little biatch that's Bob Kroll, is going to, this is not right, dude. This was your police department. As the head of the police union, this was your guys. And I'm going to get to why the head of the police union should bear the brunt of this whole problem. And I'll get to that here in a second. Basically, once again, a pattern of racist and abusive behavior that deprive people of their constitutional rights, violating constitutional rights with their racism and abuse, according to a Justice Department investigation prompted by the murder of George Floyd 3 years ago. Among the findings of the 92-page report, the results of an investigation launched in April of 2021, the department uses excessive force, including unjustified deadly force, unlawfully discriminates against Black and Native American people, violates the rights of people engaged in protected free speech. The department also discriminates against people with behavior, health, and disabilities while responding to calls resulting in trauma and even death. Bob Kroll's police department. That's what we've got here. People that did not think that there were going to be consequences for their behavior. Now, I'm going to highly encourage you to read the 92-page briefing because they point out a lot of things. I am going to read to you from the New York Times the 3 specific stories here from this quality police department that, they were just doing their job. They were the worst gang in Minneapolis. Let's just call it what it was. The worst. And O'Hara, I want to give O'Hara credit because I think that he truly does want to clean this up. And now they're going to get it forcibly cleaned up because the DOJ has put on a consent decree on this thing. They're going to have to get cleaned up here. But this wasn't just the police. This was the county attorney. This was the mayor. This was everyone involved. They knew what was going on. I'm going to just read these 3 stories for you for the quality police work that we have got going on here. By the way, should note the right-wing news outlet in town, not even covering this story. Funny. The Justice Department outlined how the police department failed to provide medical aid to a diabetic woman while in custody. Minneapolis Police Department officials arrested a woman whom they knew from prior contacts, transported her to jail. On the way, the woman said she was type 1 diabetic and she could not see straight. She asked to see a doctor twice. The officers did not call for one. When they arrived, once again, I'm having a medical condition. Police didn't even call for him. When they arrived at the jail over 10 minutes later, the handcuffed woman was limp in the squad car. The officers pulled her from the car and laid her on the concrete. As she lay on the pavement moment, the woman said, "I need help." She again told the officers that she was diabetic and that she could not see. In response, an officer bent over to her and said, "Just so we're clear, since you're playing games, I'm going to add another charge for obstruction, okay? So you're going to spend more time in the clink, okay?" Compassion. I wonder if this is one of those PTSD cops. It's like, I've got problems. I need to leave the police department. You need to give me a check. Was that one of these cops? because it sounds like the post-traumatic stress was on the people that they were protecting and serving. That's what it seems like, at least. Anyway, back to this little story of this little buttercup of a crap cop. As a nurse from the jail approached to examine her, the officer and his partner repeatedly undermined the woman's claims that she needed assistance. So, even though Dr. Cop was not a doctor, Dr. Cop was telling them, you don't need to concern yourselves with this individual. Not at all. The officer's partner repeatedly undermined the woman's claims that she needed assistance, claiming that she does this every time. That would be because she's a diabetic. You absolute pieces of human trash. Post-traumatic stress for me. Give me a check. I'm going to leave the police department now. One of the MPD officers also told the nurse that he didn't know the woman was diabetic, even though she had just told him on camera she was diabetic. But joked, she's got tons of needles. I know that. You're horrible. After the nurse gave a brief examination, the woman laid back down on the concrete, barely moving. The officers then used a wrap, a full-body restraint typically used to control combative people, to carry the woman into the jail. I bet they had egg on their face when they found out she was actually a diabetic. Or did they high-five and clap? So Christian. You're horrible people. Dear Lord. That was one. This report's chock full of these stories, by the way. The Justice Department found fault with police department's police of office conduct review for not sufficiently investigating an officer who used unreasonable force while on duty. In 2014, a Minneapolis Police Department officer responded to a report that a man had committed retail theft. The OPCR, or is it called the Office of Political Conduct Review? So this is the people that are reviewing this whole thing, okay? Making sure that they're holding the police department accountable. We're gonna hold you accountable. All right. The OPCR investigator noted that the store's surveillance video showed the officer punching the man multiple times in the face with a closed fist while the man was handcuffed behind his back. Wow. Or as Bob Kroll's police department calls it, quality police work. Punching a handcuffed man with a closed fist. The force review supervisor, now, and they did this because they knew that they weren't going to get caught. I'll get back to that here in a second here. The force review supervisor completed the force review without reviewing the surveillance footage that would have revealed the misconduct. And the Minneapolis Police Department did not investigate further at the time. So they have video evidence of this police officer punching a handcuffed man multiple times in the face. They know it. And the review board just didn't even look at the video because they knew it would show. And then they let the cop go. Bob Kroll's police department. The officer continued working and continuing using unreasonable force. So they basically had this guy dead to rights. They could have gotten rid of him. They kept him on board. Because why? Bob Kroll's police department. That's why. The officer continued working. He had 8 uses of force requiring a supervisory force review from March 31st, 2016 to May 30th, 2016. So in 2 months, he had 8 more force requiring a supervisory force review incidents in 2 months. In one of those incidents, the officers had kicked a man in the face after the man was already on his hands and knees. The man suffered a traumatic brain injury and was displaced nasal bone. Minneapolis Police Department settled with the man for $150,000, and the officer was convicted of assault. The MPD's 2016 internal review of the officer's force showed that from February of 2012 to June of 2016, he had 68 force incidents, a number that OPCR noted was far outside the norm for Minneapolis Police Department. And they kept him on staff. Bob Kroll's police department. Wow. Okay, by the way, those two stories, how is every Republican, Democrat, mayor, everyone out there saying, you disgusting pigs, give us the names of these cops. Give us the names. Let's claw back that, I've got PTSD, I need a big check from the city of Minneapolis, and I'm going to leave. God, claw that money back. Because they didn't leave because they had PTSD. They left because they gave everyone PTSD. If any of them took these checks, any of these guys took a check, they need to get that money back because the damage they did was far more than anything that was going on with them. Please. And if you're a cop right now, you should be livid that these officers were entitled to leave and play the victim card. You should be the one because they damage your reputation everywhere. A report also outlined how an officer remained on active duty 2 years after the police department learned of potentially illegal conduct. Minneapolis Police Department allowed an officer to remain on active duty status for 2 years after it learned he was conducting potentially illegal searches and seizures. In October of 2017, the officer pulled a suspected hit-and-run driver out of her vehicle, then improperly searched the vehicle, including opening and reading letters he took from the glove box and entered in the center console. And November 2018, MPD found the officer was overly aggressive and very disrespectful, conducted improper search, and failed to document the search. MPD let the officer continue working, though, and he continued his unlawful behavior. The accumulated 10 complaints over 2 years, including allegations of harassment, unlawful arrest, unlawful search and seizure, and excessive force. For example, in July of 2019, the officer removed a man and his 5-year-old daughter from their vehicle and unlawfully searched it in a store parking lot. MPD did not suspend the officer until October of 2019. A good full, let's see here, once again, 2 years. 2 years after they became aware of his illegal conduct, they finally suspended him. The lack of timely adjudication of the 2017 misconduct case permitted the officer to engage in a continuing pattern of constitutional violations, resulting in the officer ultimately being charged in November of 2020. 3 years and a month later, 11-count federal indictment, not the local cops, not the Hennepin County attorney, but the feds had to file the charges. In November 2021, the officer was convicted in federal court of abusing his position from September 17th to October 2019 to obtain controlled substances for his own use by deception and conducting unconstitutional searches and seizures. Bob Kroll's police department. These are three of the stories in here. They were horrible. And I feel sorry for what they've got now because there are I think most of the rats have fled that ship at this point because they knew they weren't going to be able to be racist, bigoted jackasses anymore. And so I think the cops that are left behind are the ones trying to pick up the pieces. And I feel sorry for them. But we need to understand something. This city exploded in May of 2020, not just because of the murder of George Floyd, but because it was Bob Kroll's police department. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. I'll explain exactly how all this happened. And once again, changing subjects in just a few minutes, Austin Dury from the band Dury joining us. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Hey, it's Patrick. While you and your family are ready for summer, make sure your home is ready for summer too. There are going to be a lot of people over at your house for those barbecues and graduation parties in June. So make sure to check in with my friends at Zero Res to make sure your floors are in tip-top shape. And now that summer is finally here, it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the year. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be zero-resified, so it's time to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. It's also the perfect time of year to get your air ducts and your dryer vent cleaned too. You've waited and now you save. Book now and take advantage of the summer sale and get 20% off all services. Schedule your appointment by calling 952-ZERO-RES or going to zeroresminnesota.com and asking for the AM 950 special. Backorder forward spells the same, Zero Res.
Hi, this is Ken Hageland, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, inviting you to listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, EatLocalMinnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Locally owned Vinaigrette has been offering the finest olive oil and vinegar since 2009. Reintroduce yourself to all the many flavors by tasting before you buy. From darker white balsamic to cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil from all over the world, there is something for everyone. Vinaigrette, located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis, or at vinaigrettemn.com. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Enjoy the fantastic food like their pizzas, burgers, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota, their wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Austin Dury from the band Dury coming in here in just a few minutes. So how did we get here? How did we get to such a police department so out of control? I'll tell you exactly how this happened. Sometimes people will tell you you can't see the changes in politics until a long time down the road. We have witnessed a very seismic political shift in the state of Minnesota just in the last 20 years or so. I often say that the last Republican I voted for was the House rep I had in Hopkins, St. Louis Park. This was in 2002. Until Steve Simon came around, and that was the end of that. I'm voting for Steve Simon. He was that good. He is still that good. Steve Simon is outstanding as the Secretary of State. So the Republican Party basically started abandoning the Metro core because they said, we don't need the Metro core to win. We just need suburban districts and outstate. And so they went into outstate Minnesota and started screaming at everyone, they hate you, those people, and that's the term they would use, those people, and they knew exactly who they were referring to, want to take all your stuff. They're going to rob you blind. They're going to do things to your family. We're here to stop them. And in rural parts of the country where there's not a lot of experience with certain demographics, it was able to succeed. And as a matter of fact, there's one of the big problems the Republicans have today is in some of these rural districts, they're so ruby red because, they basically played to the fears they knew would sell. And then, of course, came the suburbs. And they weren't going to, obviously, they stopped caring about Hopkins. They started, they were trying to get Minnetonka and Eden Prairie. Eventually, those flipped. And, it's been moving further and further out. And as a matter of fact, there is now a really difficult math problem for them when it comes to winning back majorities. They have to win districts which are undeniably blue, and they just don't have anything to offer for it. But before that happened, they basically came up with this game plan. Use Minneapolis police to push their tough on crime narrative. And all the Republican Party of Minnesota had to do was basically ignore all the bad things the Minneapolis Police Department was doing. That they would not only would they not care about the consistent mistreatment of the people of Minneapolis. And I can tell you right now, there are very few Republicans I know that give a rat's caboose about any of these victims of the police violence that's happened. They do not care, because those people in their mind are villains in their stories to validate their unbridled love of police brutality, I guess. I mean, that would be the only thing I can say. But they went out there, they made it almost impossible for the Democrats or anyone to hold the police accountable. And when you did, you had cases like this where you have a guy who's openly punching somebody in the face while they're handcuffed, and the so-called oversight board doesn't even look at the video. So Republicans got Minneapolis cops out into rural districts with their police cars and their uniforms, and remember, they got into trouble for that, to say, we're tough on crime, I stand by this one, even though it had nothing to do with Minneapolis. And the Republican Party just basically had to turn a blind eye. This is how you get this far. People that are nowhere near the city giving a blank check to bigot and racist cops who basically do not care about the people of the city, consider them the people that the people that they are in charge of, and they can do whatever they want to those people. We have the stories out of the Rolling Stone, which talks about the unbridled racism that was in the department. We have the murder of George Floyd. We have countless evidence. This is just, it was, you guys can do whatever you want to do, and we will not hold you accountable. And that's how you get to this point, because you read this 92-page doozy of a document. You will ask, how are other human beings doing this to other human beings? How? This is warlords and third world countries kind of crap. Because it was by design. That when there was no accountability, the police union could bring in anyone they wanted to and create any new rules they wanted to and create any new standards they wanted to. And the reality is what they did is create a world which was the complete polar opposite of protect and serve, and abuse the living daylights out of the people of Minneapolis. That's why that city exploded in 2020. And now we're seeing the truth, the evidence that backs up what exactly happened. And I'm not saying it was justified. I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying that that's what should have happened. But you don't put down kindling and pour gasoline all over everywhere and start flipping matches at things and then act shocked that a fire started. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Now, I'm going to change subjects here dramatically. The band Dury is going back on the concert tour. They got their new LP coming on out. We're going to talk to Austin Dury when we do return. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblatt. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblatt from Shamblatt Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblatt Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblattfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH. Now is the perfect time to prepare for summer reading, and Next Chapter Booksellers can help. Not sure what to get? The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations to find books that fit your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also hosts many book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul or place an order online at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
Oh, I am so overwhelmed with all the different Medicare companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with CompareYourMedicare.com, and they made my Medicare decision seem easy.
Huh, really? Well, what do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Wow, That sounds a lot easier than going to a bunch of different Medicare seminars on my own.
Way easier. Just go to compareyourmedicare.com and request a free, no obligation review. You can even schedule a virtual consultation from the comfort of your own home.
Hi, this is Jared with compareyourmedicare.com. We pride ourselves in serving our community's Medicare needs. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past age 65, we can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to compareyourmedicare.com to schedule a consultation.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 81. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 60. And Saturday, a chance for thunderstorms with a high around 86. From the bright personalities to the bold flavors, 30 Bales in Hopkins is the perfect gathering spot for anyone looking for a taste of the Midwest. Whether you're stopping by for a quick drink or settling in for a leisurely meal, you'll find plenty to love at 30 Bales. Located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins, more at 30bales.com.
Said I would regret it if I ever got a tattoo. She said I'd never get a job like I ever wanted one with that attitude.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. That is Dury, and that's the first song I heard from them. The second I heard it, I said, my goodness, that band is going to be huge. They are amazing. A great story. We'll talk about that once again with Austin Dury, who's kind enough to join us from the band Dury. Are you down in beautiful Burnsville right now?
I am, correct. Yep.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, no problem. Good to be here.
Good to have you here. I want to just start off by talking about how tickled pink I am about you guys and the success you guys are starting to have here. And it's really getting undeniable. Getting national airplay, big tour coming up here later on. Got the big EP coming out a bit later on. You know, you've been in bands a long time. This is new territory for you as well as your sister, right?
Correct. Yeah. You know, I did a lot of bands on my own, like since I was 16. I've been out there playing shows and grinding on tour and trying to make something happen. And nothing even close to anything like this has happened before. So it's been a long journey, but we are pumped to be here.
Now, Austin, when we had you on the last time, we talked about the fact that you guys, this was kind of a quirk of the pandemic. You were back home. Your current band, basically, their tour was canceled. Your sister and yourself start writing some music just to kind of get through the day, and you start doing some catchy TikTok videos. Those explode. But I think you need to write a textbook, because there's a lot of people that put out TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, but they can't make that jump to what you guys are doing now, which is becoming more than just a social media entity, becoming actual, rock stars band, a rock band that's moving around the country and doing this. That I don't know how to even ask the question, because I mean, that's got to be something that's new territory for you as well. You've just managed it incredibly well.
Yeah, I think that we had a kind of a unique situation where I had all the years of grinding it out and all that background already that a lot of folks that blow up on TikTok and stuff don't. don't necessarily have. And so so it was nice to be able to kind of combine those worlds and use the strength of the kind of getting a handle on the social media stuff to promote the shows and the booking and all that kind of stuff, and getting a good team together and having all the people behind you that only kind of comes through experience of really going out and yourself for so long.
And you build a team. Let's talk a little bit, because it's yourself and your sister. And by the way, do you give her crud all the time about it's like, you don't even know what this is like. You don't know what it's like to be a struggling artist. You kind of stumbled into this thing upwards.
Yeah, no, yeah. She, I tell her all the time, she kind of skipped the paying your dues period, but I paid enough for both of us, so it's fine.
You built your band. Who's the rest of the people playing with you when you guys go up on stage?
Yeah, so in the pandemic, my wife actually learned bass. She just picked it up and started learning covers, and then when it was time to go, it's like, hey, bass. So she plays bass for us, and then a longtime friend of mine, Dane Hoppy, plays drums. My wife's name is Ashley. And that's the whole crew. So just a tight 4, 3 of us are Duries. So it's pretty tight knit little crew.
You did something as well that I find to be amazing, is that you embrace social media, but you also embrace just classic rock. I mean, it's you guys are rockers, and it's something that you don't have to be fancy. You don't have to be keyboards. You don't have to be this. You just can put out some just good rock songs, and you guys did that. And I imagine that's one of the reasons why it's nice to have like 4-person band. You can kind of get that sound out there, and you can really rock with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my other band was like a lot heavier, a lot more like heavier rock music. And when Derry started, I was kind of trying to shed some of that and going a little more like poppy, doing more synth kind of stuff like that. And then Who's Laughing Now is the one that hit, and that one's like a straight up rock song. So I was like, okay, I guess that's like the direction it happens to be, just like what I know how to do best. So yeah, rock seems to be the name of the game now.
Suburban Legend, that's going to be the album. I can pre-order that right now, and you go to duringmusic.com. You can go, I'm pretty everywhere. I mean, I got it downloaded on iTunes. I'm waiting for the rest of the album to come on out at this point. So you got the album coming on out. How hard was it? How much did you go back and like Who's Laughing Now? Did you have to go back and revisit when you went to engineer it on the album?
Yeah, so we actually with Who's Laughing Now specifically, we actually started over completely on that song, just because we wanted to get some feel things done. We ended up actually speeding up the song a little bit and some things like that. And I think it definitely benefited from like the fact that we played it on tour for like a year and then re-recorded it. Like that kind of tightness and knowledge of the song and stuff really helps you, build a recording that's like the best it can be. And yeah, for a couple of the songs on the album, we were like revisited older songs that we kind of put out, totally independent before, and we got to kind of work with bigger name, engineers and stuff like that, and really dial things in. So the record is going to be really, really polished and really nice. I think we made something really special. So I think it's gonna be sweet.
Well, and that's got to be fun for you too, to go in there and have good engineers and getting. Where did you record this at, if I can ask?
Yeah. So, and I've been working with my friend Jack Vonderchek for years, just in his basement studio or whatever. He's the one that did everything before. We actually recorded all the new stuff in the same studio and then just sent it off to some Grammy-winning engineers and stuff after that. So yeah, the same process looks like it always has been. Of just kind of a couple of buds hanging out, tweaking things in the basement, trying to make something special, and then with a little extra polish on top.
And sounding clean, yeah, very clean. The when you get the band in the rest of the songs that are on this album here, what when you realize, okay, we need to do this LP, how many songs did you say, okay, we have to write these many songs, and talk about that process a little bit?
I'm kind of a like songwriting machine.
No joke. No joke.
By the time we had to like, okay, it's like we're doing an album. What's it going to be? I had like, I think 18 songs ready.
Wow.
So we actually had to strip it back. So we, cut a bunch of songs to get it. And it was nice because it was like, it wasn't like we got to pump out one more. It was like, we have to pick the best of the best of what we've already done. So it was nice to, just like to have the room within our library to just like only pick the best songs. This is what the album is. And then, and then move on from there.
I have a theory on why your lyrics and your songs resonate more than just within your age group, your sister's age group, who's younger than you. And I mean, I can be an old guy, and I listen to your stuff, and I love it. And that is something you guys talk about a little bit before, about the fact that you're kind of the tail end of the millennials. Your sister is kind of the beginning of the Generation Zers, and because of that, and because of your basically unapologetic lyrics, and very straightforward, relatable, not trying to candy coat anything. I think that's what happens, is because you're kind of multi-generational, because of that, and your straightforward nature of writing, you end up creating songs which are relatable for people from 70 down to 7.
Yeah. I always say, like, when we're writing, we're like literally like 90% of this is like fully biographical writing. Like, it's literally just about our own lives and our own experiences, and we've lived very like normal, like suburban, like mid-lower class lives, that it ends up being a wide pool of relatability, just because like we're just normal people.
Well, and it does, but that's the thing is, and you can't change that. And I think maybe because of how you emerged into stardom. And there's other bands in this town right now. I'll point to Gully Boys as well, that you just, you kind of build yourself up, and you're just who you are. And that is not something there. I think there's too many times a band will go out there, I'm not going to say any names, but they'll go out there and they're either trying to talk to one specific generation, or they're trying to become something that they're not. And it just doesn't work. Whereas what you're doing, I think your honesty is the best policy, sort of thing. It's just, you go out there and this is what we had to do. I remember these crap jobs. I remember my parents giving me bad advice, and that's what it is. Because I can remember my parents giving me bad advice, and so it becomes incredibly relatable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, part of what we wanted to do as this whole thing kind of scaled up was, we really wanted to keep a close hold on the reins as far as like all of our creative vision stuff, and like we still make all of our own videos, and we still design our own merch and make our own, we could hire those things out now, but I feel like that would lose some of like the identity of the band. And so we're really trying to hold on to that authenticity in all of it. So we're keeping it all close, working really hard, and just trying to, make it all distinctly that, Dury brand.
Where did you film Coming of Age, that video? Because what's funny is it's a video about the dystopian nature of office work. So did you just go to someone, hey, your office looked really crappy, can we film here?
Yeah, actually. So we actually filmed that with our older brother. So there's two more brothers in the Dury family, and one of them has a very office job. He ended up like talking to his bosses and getting all the clearance and stuff to like come in on the weekend and like use the whole space. And he ended up being like one running around with a camera on his back. Like, he'd never done anything like that before, but we're like, hey, these hallways look good for running. Let's try it. It came out really, really fun, really great to work with just the three of us, like as the, film crew. That's all we had to work with, and made something really fun.
I'll cover for you. Whoever that office building was, you guys are great. Way to go. Good for you.
They are great.
You're part of Minneapolis history.
Exactly. No, we joke about, I can say who the office is. We joke about how it's the Children's Cancer Research Fund is like, that's the office.
Okay.
And so we're like, this is awesome. They're great. And then we're like, but the song is like about like quitting your bad job. It's like, we don't want that to like apply to this, because that's a good job. That's like a noble, like, that's a good thing. But but whatever. We're hoping not too many people make that association.
we will help you in any way possible for a fundraiser for that organization to help them out in the future, for sure.
Great.
Austin Dury joining us. The band is Dury. I got to talk a little bit as well about success because, and like I said, Tickle Pink, man, dude, the first time I heard you first lyric I heard is like, okay, who are these guys? And you say to yourself, can you please make this band successful because they deserve it, because you're good. You're getting national play now. I think you're picked up on Sirius XM. They're playing it. Of course, you got a lot of local play here. You're getting national play. And then your tours. You actually went on a tour, I think it was earlier this year, and you sold out a few of the shows. I think it was in Chicago. And I can't remember whether there was, I think Minneapolis, you sold out shows, of course. But you're resonating.
Yeah, it's been a wild journey. We just booked our first show, first international show. We're playing London in September. That's going to be sweet. Yeah, it's been a wild snowball effect of really, like, honestly, it's a lot of just fans picking it up and spreading the word and radio people hearing it, and just picking it up and doing it. And it's been a very natural process, which has been really cool.
And there, I can say this because I know I got a shocking, weird amount of people in London, in England that listen. Go see them. There's going to be at Oslo in England on September 21st. You do not want to miss this show. You as well, though, this next tour you're doing, and it really kicks off in the U.S. in November. Here's where I can tell you guys are on a very good trajectory. Nothing against the previous tour. You had Chicago. I think Pittsburgh was in there. Houston was in there. But you look at the city lineup on this one: Portland, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Kansas City, London, England, Denver, Detroit, Boston, New York. You are playing every major metro area now. And that is a huge good sign for you guys, because that means the interest for you now, it's the big cities want to see you.
Yeah, definitely. This is pretty much almost all of these places. This is our second time hitting them. And our first tour, not this last tour, but the one before it, we hit all these same markets already, and we sold out a little over 50% of the shows. So now we've upscaled all the venues to be a little higher capacity, and we're kind of trying to hit that mark again. And yeah, so yeah, we're hoping that everyone who came last time brings a friend next time, and we can pack the place again.
It would be awesome. We could sell out your tour. That'd be awesome. Very Taylor Swift. Yeah, very, without the Ticketmaster things. Yeah, without the problems with Ticketmaster. But no, you get to this is fantastic. I can't tell you. I'm so glad to see you there. You're, like I said, getting the national play, got the album out, and once again, I want to encourage everyone that if you are looking for some good music, you can pre-order Suburban Legend right now. By the way, where's the yellow house? Where was that where you took the pictures?
That was it was a house that my wife and I just found driving around. It just happened to be very like cartoonish and like perfectly symmetrical. We ended up like knocking on the door being like, hey, this is weird, but can we take pictures of your house? So yeah, the deal was we could take pictures if we gave them a vinyl when it comes out. So we're like, okay, That is a good deal.
Wow. If this album does what I think it's going to be, that's going to be kind of an iconic house. So good for them. Suburban Legend. When is officially the album out?
The album comes out on September 8th, I believe.
All right. The tour comes up. You're doing London the end of September. You're doing the U.S. tour, kicks off in early November. I see you're playing Hastings this summer. You got some shows in Minneapolis coming up as well?
We do. We can't totally announce it yet, but I'll just say we're planning like the album release party is going to be in Minneapolis in sometime in that frame. We'll be announcing it pretty soon, but it's going to be like the biggest show of our lives. So don't worry, Minneapolis. We didn't forget about you. We just can't quite announce it yet.
The hometown jamboree.
We'll
yeah, there.
Yep, absolutely.
All my best to Taryn and yourself, your wife, your band, all on this. I'm a huge fan. I think you guys are sensational. I couldn't be happier for you. I'm so glad you guys are getting the success that you so deserve, and please keep it up, because I'll tell you what, I think that you're going to have longevity, because your music is really, really good. So I appreciate the time, Austin.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
My pleasure. Austin Dury from the band Dury playing us out. Why not? This is Coming of Age. This is where they filmed it in the office park. This is a fantastic song. There's a playing us out on this interview. We'll come back, wrap up the first hour. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Monday shows its face, and the Instapot coffee's lost its taste, and the 6 o'clock train's always running late. But if I stop now, I know I'm never gonna make it back to the tragedy. Laugh like a comedy, rope game society, dial up lobotomy. 95 fantasize about the end of the day, just to wake up and do it all again. I should have known better.
Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. You've heard me talk about the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program. Now hear from someone who's actually done it, me. Our kids' car, the 2006 Toyota Sienna, served us well for 17 years, but it was finally time to say goodbye. The We Buy program is really simple. I gave them some basic information, we set up an appointment, and after a quick verification, they gave me an estimate and a check, and they made me a generous offer. It was that fast. See for yourself. Try the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program at rudyluthertoyota.com.
Hi, Twin Cities. This is Andy Otto, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride. I'd like to personally invite you to this year's Pride Festival in Loring Park and the Sculpture Garden. We're proud to offer something for everyone. With more artists, over 50 food vendors, an expanded pet area, and new this year, an expanded senior space. We want our community seniors to make connections. So we've created a space just for them. With a huge tent, fans, cool water, and activities like bingo and yoga. We have displays from the LGBTQ plus walking history on site. We are hosting a free Saturday morning breakfast for seniors at 9 a.m., 1 hour before the park opens. We've also expanded our youth zone, which will feature arts and crafts, a performance stage, and a free clothing exchange program we're calling Rainbow Wardrobe. We're aiming to make 2023 the biggest, most inclusive festival yet. Mark your calendars, June 23rd through the 25th. Visit tcpride.org for more information, and I will see you there.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. There have been a few times where I've been this. I've now in my radio life, I've done music radio many times. I was Hot 105 KCCQ. That was down in Ames, Des Moines. I've done a lot of music stuff, and it was interesting because you always could hear a band, and most of the stuff I was playing was national stuff, and you could hear a band, and you'd say, "Wow, they're going to be a hit." And it was funny. I mean, I don't think Dury would appreciate me putting them in the same category, but I remember when the first time I heard the Spice Girls, and this was way back when, and I said, "Oh, they're going to be huge. They're going to be freaking huge." And we got the preview, and I was like, "Yeah, this is going to be a massive hit," and it was. And they kind of ruled the charts for a few years. There have been bands which I have listened to. Dessa is one. The first time I heard her, just floored at how good Dessa is. I'm a big fan of the Gully Boys. Their story is amazing. And I need to have Katie on from Gully Boys at some point. I'd love to have her on the show and talk about their music and their tours as well. But I heard Dury, and I swear to God, it popped up in my timeline for some reason on Twitter. Their TikTok video that someone had reposted it there. I listened to about 20 seconds, and I said, "This band is good. Where are these guys from?" Burnsville. Do we know if Greg is working the mic right now? Greg Bakken. Do you know of anyone else from Burnsville? There's a horse, I think. Was Dan Kelly from down there? But Dury they might be the biggest thing out of Burnsville.
Yeah, I mean the singing horse. Don't forget about the singing horse.
Was there a singing horse?
No, I really have no idea.
Where was that? Hold on, maybe they're not the biggest thing out of Burnsville. Just to see them go out there and to see them go out there and have success. I could not be happier. By the way, Greg, since you are here,
hello.
What do you have on this weekend show of Ghost Box Radio?
So a couple days ago, I mentioned to you about Fort Duffield.
Yes.
I'm going to have the Decent Ernie Pack, who are now running it. And they sent me, I'll have to show you the picture. They sent me a picture of what they believe is a spirit of a Union soldier that somebody else picked up. So, they're going to do tours out there. It's over in West Point, Kentucky. So we're going to have them on. We're going to talk about it.
Is the ghost going to be the tour guide? I mean, that'd be in sight.
Well, for all we know, could be a guest here right now. We wouldn't even know. So,
well, I would. If you're here right now, pardon me during the commercial breaks. I had some pasta earlier. Sorry, it's my bad. All right, that's they're going to be talking about that once again. That comes up on Sunday.
Yes.
And right, what time is that?
That's going to be at 4:06 p.m.
4:06 on Sunday, and then the replay will be Saturday night. You can hear last week's show, as a matter of fact, coming up this Saturday. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. 952-946-6205. You know I'm going back to the MPD when we come on back for hour number 2. I could do an entire night of radio on this one. It's hour 2 up next.
Attention all loons. Crooner's Supper Club is hosting the first annual Loons on the Lake Comedy Festival June 21st through 24th with 40 comedians from all across the country entered into a $10,000 comedy competition. See star performances from comedy legend Jimmy Walker from Good Times, Jamie Kennedy from Scream 1 and 2, Erica Rhodes from HBO, and Don McMillan, the PowerPoint comedian from America's Got Talent. Check out the fun at loonsonthelake.com or stop by Crooner's off Moore Lake and Highway 65. That's June 21st through 24th. loonsonthelake.com.
Progressive presents Flo's newest smash hit. The Name Your Price tool gives you lots of coverage options.
The Name Your Price tool. You give us a budget and we'll show you a range of coverage options. But we can't go over all the dessert options. Your server will be back in just a second and he'll explain.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive. Visit progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Your radio station for the Resistance, the David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
News. I'm Ed Donahue. Today in Minneapolis. As I told George Floyd's family this morning, his death has had an irrevocable impact on the Minneapolis community, on our country, and on the world. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced a Justice Department investigation shows Minneapolis police engaged in a pattern of violating constitutional rights. In 2020, George Floyd repeatedly said he couldn't breathe before going limp as Officer Derek Chauvin knelt on his neck for 9.5 minutes. Chauvin, who is white, was convicted of murder and manslaughter in the killing of Floyd, who was black. Our review found numerous incidents in which MPD officers responded to a person's statement that they could not breathe with the version of, "You can breathe. You're talking right now." This federal investigation will result in a separate but similar court-enforceable agreement. Robert Bowers was found guilty today of killing 11 members of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh in 2018. The AP's Peter Smith is in Pittsburgh.
His own attorney admitted in opening statements that he did it. The attorney raised some questions about whether his motive matched what the federal charges accused him of, but that was about it. His attorney admitted right off the bat he did it. It was inexcusable and that he caused a tremendous amount of pain. Prosecutors are asking for the death penalty. 1 year after signing the first significant piece of federal firearms legislation in nearly 3 decades, President Biden says it's only an important first step.
We will ban assault weapons in this country. We will ban multi-round magazines. We will hold gun makers liable. We will beat the gun industry. We will beat big money that sits behind them. And the politicians refuse to stand up and act. The president said if Congress refuses to act, a new Congress is needed. Stocks finish lower. This is AP News.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FREE for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FREE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FREE for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 81. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 60. And Saturday, a chance for thunderstorms with a high around 86. From the bright personalities to the bold flavors, 30 Bales in Hopkins is the perfect gathering spot for anyone looking for a taste of the Midwest. Whether you're stopping by for a quick drink or settling in for a leisurely meal, you'll find plenty to love at 30 Bales. Located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins, more at 30bales.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show, hour number 2. Yeah, like I said, you're gonna get some hairpin turns on this show today. Started off with the report, and I'm gonna get back to it. There's gonna be a good chunk of this hour. The report on the Minneapolis Police Department, because, like I said, there's 2 things that I think that everyone needs to kind of focus on. Is that, yes, it was god awful what happened to the city after George Floyd and the burning of the buildings and the riots and all this stuff, but it wasn't spontaneous by any means. This was a city who'd had the police department kneeling on the back of its neck for decades, heck, even since its existence. And everyone knew what was going on. But finally, and I gotta remind you, remember that Bob Kroll was like, give the cops their job back. And as a matter of fact, someone mentioned to me that apparently his wife, Liz Collins, was apparently promoting a book insisting that Chauvin did not kill George Floyd. They're just you're not right. Stop trying to make fetch happen, okay? You guys misran that police department into a gang of thugs who are looking to shake down the city of Minneapolis. And finally, when you got so brazen, you murdered a man in the middle of the street on camera and still were belligerently trying to defend it. Boom. The other thing is, and it goes back to the point I made last hour, which is, this was a creation of the Republican Party of Minnesota because they wanted to make it look like we were tough on those people in Minneapolis. They gave the Minneapolis police like complete autonomy over their jurisdiction, that they didn't have to punish cops who clearly needed to be fired, and tolerated racist and bigoted behavior on a level which has caused the Attorney General Office of the United States to come in here and saying, this is over now. And like I said, there's a lot of rats in Bob Kroll's police department that fled, that jumped ship. And a lot of them knew what was coming and came on out there and said, I got PTSD, I need a big check. And you now find out how much PTSD they basically distributed around the city of Minneapolis on the people. I mean, think about Jaleel Stallings 3 days after after George Floyd was killed. Julia Stallings is there just in a parking lot. An unmarked police van rolls up and opens fire on him, hits him in the chest. He fires back because he thinks it's white supremacists attacking. And then they jump out of the car. And then they say they're the police. And then they proceed to handcuff him and beat him in the street. And then they charged him. And they still were trying to throw him into jail. Hennepin County Attorney was a disgrace. Just a disgrace in that whole thing. Going to go back to the main story. For years, MPD used dangerous techniques and weapons against people who committed at most a petty offense and sometimes no offense at all. Minneapolis Police Department used force to punish people who made officers angry or criticized the police, according to the report from the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice on Friday. MPD patrolled neighborhoods differently based on their racial composition and discriminated based on race when searching, handcuffing, or using force against people during stops. The city sent MPD officers to behavioral health-related 911 calls, even when a law enforcement response was not appropriate or necessary, sometimes with tragic results. These actions put Minneapolis Police Department officers and the Minneapolis community at risk. While the world was watching the tragic events in Minneapolis, those events devastated our community. In Minneapolis, we reached a tipping point long in the making and born of a flawed system, but also irrefutable. And now on this day, we are at that turning point. There is a hope to change through justice, said Ann Bildstead, first assistant U.S. attorney for the District of Minnesota. The report follows reviews of thousands of hours of body cam footage and the same number of documents, analysis of data and calls on service, stops, use of force, and other officer activities between 2016 and 2022, along with 2,000 interviews with community members, including family members of those killed by police and members of the department of all ranks. And once again, this is just a review. This is just a review. This amazing amount of horribleness is just from 2016 to 2022. City officials in Minneapolis have been bracing for the findings of the Justice Department report, which comes in addition to a similar level challenge leveled by the Minneapolis Department of Human Rights. The city will now be in the process of negotiating a court-enforceable consent decree with the Justice Department. Per the state's agreement, the federal decree will take precedent if the state's terms conflict with it. Make them not responsible for self-review of bad police activity. Number one, mandatory review of all or release of all body cam footage within 72 hours of every incident. I want to remind people in Arredondo, all the guys like, oh, Arredondo was a great chief. Arredondo, he knew that Stallings had done nothing. And at no point did they, until the body cam footage came out after the trial, then all of a sudden we're going to look into these guys, allowing them all to resign or retire or scream, I got PTSD after I gave all those people PTSD, and run out with a check from Minneapolis and go start a new life somewhere else. They're all scum. All those rats that ran away from this department. Bob Kroll's police department. Ugh. Unreasonable use of force in shootings. The report concludes that 3/4 of the use of force by Minneapolis Police Department went through, whether through bodily force, taser, or deadly force, did not involve a violent or weapons offense. Once again, 3/4 of all the use by force by Minneapolis Police Department did not include a violent or weapons offense. They just went out and started beating on people. Deadly force, which includes using a firearm or neck restraint, were frequently used in situations where there was no immediate threat. A review of 19 police shootings from 2016 to August 22 reveals that officers frequently fired without first determining whether there was an immediate threat to officers or others, or provide warnings that they're about to use deadly force. Further, I remember one of the things I'll never forget, and the images of in the wake of George Floyd, and they were down. The police department was down there. There was a guy protesting in front of the 3rd precinct. And I saw a police officer pull up one of those rubber bullet things, and at about 10 feet without warning, just planted one right in the guy's chest. No warning, no nothing. Just bam, right to his chest. Protect and serve my ass. The report cites the 2017 killing of Justine Demond, who was shot by Officer Mohammed Noor, who was spooked when Damond approached the squad car while responding to a 911 call. Here's some other cases. An off-duty officer who responded to a shots fired call and then fired a car carrying 6 people within 3 seconds of getting out of his squad car. A man shot 6 times after he began cutting himself with a knife when he left an MPD interview room. So clearly a mental health crisis. They put 6 rounds into him. Shooting in the police station. Shooting a man who is hurting himself and has not threatened anyone else is unreasonable, the report concluded. You think? Despite these unreasonable uses of deadly force, Minneapolis Police Department has failed to respond with effective systemic reforms designed to prevent unlawful shootings. Because they don't have to. Because the Republican Party basically said, we'll allow you to do any damn thing you want to as long as you show up for our campaigns and tell us we're tough on crime because we keep those people in line. The report also found that officers used neck restraints during at least 198 encounters during the same time. Dear God, it's more than an entire season of frickin' WWE. There were no arrests, by the way, in 44 of those encounters. They put a neck lock on somebody on 198 times, 44 of those times. Okay, I'll just let you go. In 2016, neck restraints were used 52 times. In 2021, 1 year after Floyd's killing by Chauvin to a knee to Floyd's neck led to a ban on neck restraints. The tactic was used only once. The ban was met with considerable resistance by members of the department. Oh, boo, boo, boo-hoo. You can't be trusted. Why can't we just go? There were times I was out there. I think I only felt safe when I was choking someone out. Come on, man. Why do they not want me to choke people out at random? We spoke to officers and supervisors who called the ban an overcorrection, knee-jerk, or politically driven. Or you're killing people. One of the two. God. And listen to how brazen that is. This is the Department of Justice doing a investigation into the violation of constitutional rights of people in Minneapolis by the Minneapolis Police Department after they had been caught on camera murdering someone in the street by putting a neck restraint on there. And they were so conditioned to believe that they were never wrong that they even looked at these guys and say, this is knee-jerk. This is politically driven. Why can't I just choke anyone I want to? Just unbelievable. Some officers continue to use neck restraints as an effective and reliable tactic, the report read. Officers warned that the ban would lead to an increase of force overall. I don't think that's possible. If you can't touch the head or neck, the result is you punch them. That's what that one officer put it. The report found that in less lethal incidents, or you try to help the people, protect and serve, not, I got to beat the living daylights out of this person. The report found that in less lethal incidents, Minneapolis Police Department officers frequently use gratuitous force on citizens who have already been restrained, subdued, and handcuffed. What was being deemed a completely unnecessary act of violence, a violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. In one case, a handcuffed black man who was compliant, was thrown to the ground face first, with the officer claiming he had tensed up during a search. Handcuffed. And he was thrown to the ground face first because he tensed up during a search while other officers had bent him over the hood of a squad car. And another, a white man in a mental health crisis, was handcuffed to a stretcher when he spat on an officer who slapped and punched him as he was handcuffed to the stretcher. The body cam. Are you ready? I just want you to, the body cam audio of that incident. Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm really proud of myself. I only hit him twice. The supervisor, by the way, did not refer that officer for a misconduct investigation. I need to quit the police force, and I got PTSD. Oh, I got to run away before I basically get held accountable for all my things. That's the biggest crime here, is there's a lot of these people. They should be dragged back here by their short hairs and put on freaking trial for violating the constitutional rights of Minnesotans. They should all be dragged back here, and every damn dollar they got out of their pity party trust fund, they get clawed back, and they need to go to jail. Because the criminals here seem to have been wearing the badges in Minneapolis. Oh. The report also found that force was unnecessary. This, by the way, I'm just touching the beginning of this report. This report goes on and on and on. The report also found that force was unnecessarily used when people failed to comply with orders immediately, and the people were unnecessarily handcuffed. Pepper spray was frequently and unreasonably used. Gee, really? The police officers that rolled down the street with a car and opened up their window and sprayed people with chemical irritant, they weren't safe to, checked out to see if they should be using pepper spray? Wow, who would ever guess that? In one case, the officer responding to a report of robbery pointed a gun at two unarmed black teens in the area and told them to sit in the snow, although they posed no immediate threat. Pointing a gun in the faces of two unarmed teens is unreasonable, the report said. When we spoke to one of the teens about what happened, he told us he experienced sleeplessness, tension, and persistent paranoia afterwards. He told us thought it was going to be my last night. Now, reminder, a Minneapolis cop back under Bob Kroll's police department would have looked at him and said, "Suck it up there, whiner boy." I only hit him twice. Like I said, I got to hope that O'Hara's going to fix this. I got news for you. Whoever's the police chief is going to have to fix this. The Department of Justice is going to make sure they're camped out here in Minneapolis now. But this is disgusting. Bob Kroll's police department. What officer after officer after officer in that department kept insisting was quality police work. Tell you what, take a break, come on back. More on this report when I do return. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Since when are houses disposable?
I know. About half of what's in landfills are building materials that could be reused or recycled.
For the sake of the environment, this has got to stop.
There is money available to help Hennepin County residents and their contractors do the right thing. Reuse and recycle the building materials. You could earn $400 per ton for materials saved on a partial deconstruction of your next remodeling project, and up to $9,000 for a full deconstruction in Hennepin County.
Fixtures and cabinets?
All the way down to stair treads and 2x4s.
Flooring?
We floor you all day long, sister. Materials are sold at Better Futures Reuse Warehouse at 2620 Minnehaha Avenue in Minneapolis.
Don't demolish, deconstruct. Do the right thing, get money back. You nailed it, brother.
That's D-nailed it. Wouldn't want to poke an eye out.
Check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com. And don't forget to shop the Reuse Warehouse.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle. While for lunch, enjoy favorites like the buttermilk fried chicken sandwich or veggie burger. Hazel's is open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 8 to 8, with a Sunday brunch from 8 to 2. Located off 29th and Johnson in Northeast Minneapolis. More at hazelsne2go.com. If you're craving barbecue, then don't drive too fast or you will miss Scott Jamama's Hot Barbecue, located at 3 West Diamond Lake Road in Minneapolis. Scott Jamama's offers mouth-watering baby back ribs, grilled chicken, and half-pound pulled pork sandwiches. The potato salad, spicy baked beans, and twice-baked potatoes should not be missed. More details at scottjamamas.com.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Even beyond the use of force itself, some spoke of the indignities they endured. The report said one father told us Minneapolis Police Department did not call to tell him an MPD police officer had killed his adult child. Instead, he learned his child had died when the coroner called to ask for dental records. Now, once again, the Minneapolis Police Department killed this guy, and no one from the police department bothered to go tell the family, oh, we just killed this kid. Wow. The report found the Minneapolis Police Department engages in unlawful conduct towards Black and Native American people when enforcing the law, including with disappropriate traffic stops without justification, use of force searches, and disparate enforcement tactics based on the racial composition of the neighborhood. For every white person stopped, 7 Black people, 8 Native Americans were stopped. I want to repeat that again. You want to see what racism is in America? For every time, white people, which I do believe still are the prominent majority in Minneapolis, are white people. For every 1 white person stopped in the city of Minneapolis, 7 Black people, 8 Native Americans were stopped. Yeah, of course, they're a bunch of racist pigs. The use of force during such stops was also, disproportionate. From Floyd's death on August 9th to August 9th, 2022, in the 3rd precinct, where many Native Americans live and where supervisors told the Cowboys want to work. The report said Minneapolis Police Department used force 49% more often during stops involving Black people, 69% more often during stops with Native Americans, people that they did it during similar stops involving white people. After Floyd's death, the data showed 35% drop in officers reporting race as they were mandated to do so at traffic stops. So they basically just stopped including the race in the traffic stops so that they continue with their bigoted ways. We are not aware of Minneapolis Police Department taking any action to address this widespread policy violation, a policy violation that can make it more difficult to detect and counter discrimination. Because the point was to basically be able to discriminate, because they had been told, hey, guess what? There's not going to be any accountability for you, and you guys are in charge of disciplining your officers. So, yeah, that's why. First Amendment violations. As was widely documented, the report says the department also fails to hold officers accountable for violating First Amendment rights, saying MPD only disciplined officers for misconduct at protests 5 times in a 7-year period. Investigators found numerous problems with MPD's training system, saying that the instructors don't have formal certifications. Wow. And the department lacks criteria for selecting. Bob Kroll's police department, folks. That's Bob Kroll's police department. The department lacks criteria for selecting instructors for evaluating their performance. The DOJ says it knew of instances where the Minneapolis Police Department served as field training officers helping to train new hires, even while under investigation for serious misconduct. It said supervisors lack training to properly review use of force in serious incident, and that effective early intervention system could help MPD better identify signs that the officer could use an intervention. Many of the report's findings echo those made by the Minnesota Department of Human Rights. It consistently fails at its core purpose to find, address, and prevent officers' misconduct instead of clear, straightforward accountability system. MPD's system is an opaque maze with multiple dead ends where meritorious complaints are dismissed without investigation and often to no discernible reason. Because they don't have to. because the Republican Party of Minnesota made it very clear that they were not going to basically ever hold the police department of Minneapolis accountable. And so they created a system where they didn't have to be held accountable. And is anybody surprised this is the outcome? Is there anybody surprised that they still today argue they were giving those people what they deserved? The report calls the department's complaint needlessly complex, noting that Minneapolis Police Department used an 8-page flow chart to explain the number of steps involved in this process. An 8-page flow chart. The department found numerous, by design, Bob Kroll's police department. The Minneapolis Police Department declined to investigate the 2019 incident, which had been referred to the city attorney. The referral included video taken by a city worker that showed an officer place his knee and full body weight on an arrestee's head and neck. Oh. The report says Minneapolis Police Department inappropriately classifies complaints and ignores explicit misconduct allegations. The report includes a footnote that notes that the DOJ's analysis of MPD's accountability systems was conducted before changes were implemented in recent months. The DOJ investigation waded into some issues that have dominated city politics in the last few years since Floyd's murder and suggests some changes implemented by the city since then haven't gone nearly far enough. We need to call out Mayor Fry and the city council. There is a whipped pup mentality on prior to Moriarty being the Hennepin County Attorney. Why do you think the police department was desperately trying to stop Mary Moriarty from being the Hennepin County Attorney? Because she wasn't going to play ball like Freeman did. Even Mayor Fry I'm sorry, you should be all thrown out of office because you failed to address this. Because at the end of the day, you are all looking to defend the police. And once again, I want to repeat something I said last hour because I know a lot of people are going to be anti-police. I'm not anti-police at all. I think the police departments across the state, most of them are absolutely fine. And sure, there are some problems. I'm not going to deny that. But when you look at what was going on in the Minneapolis Police Department, that wasn't a police department. It was a street gang. And they were not there to protect and serve, well, one thing, for their own interests. All of this could have been prevented if anyone had had the guts to stand up to him. When Freeman came on out after that, when the county attorney came on, I was like, my biggest regret was trying to charge Jaleel Stallings. You knew! You had the body cam footage. You knew what had happened. And you still were trying to get him to plead out. So for you to act like, well, they lied to me. Well, either you're a real freaking crap attorney who doesn't review the evidence of the case before you prosecute it, or else you are a fool to believe the guys that murdered George Floyd might be on the up and up. Whole system needs to be torn down and rebuilt. And the good news is the DOJ is going to go in there and basically strip away a lot of this carte blanche, get out of jail free card that the Minneapolis Police Department has had. And I'm sorry, it infuriates me when you know that a lot of these cops, even though the police department knew they were just horrible people, were allowed to retire and I need a PTSD check. I need my PTSD check. After they did what they did to the city of Minneapolis so that they could run away and sit there and act. And I guarantee you, they're all not taking freaking phone calls today. They're not taking phone calls today now that the real truth came out about what they were up to and what they were doing. Just, like I said, no one was happy with what happened after George Floyd. It was unfortunate. It was horrible. It was wrong. It was. But don't you dare look at us anymore and act as if the same people that were chucking matches at gasoline act like, wow, can't believe the fire started. You guys, this was your own policies exploding the city. That's what this was. Bob Kroll's Police Department. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950. You hear a lot about Rudy Luther Toyota's hybrid cars, but maybe you're asking yourself, are they worth it? Let me say from experience, absolutely. I have a Toyota Sienna hybrid, and the proof is in the gas tank. Before my hybrid, I was filling up my tank once a week. Now it's consistently every 2 weeks. I did the math, and my hybrid is saving me over $1,000 every year. And the Toyota hybrids are some of the most stylish and comfortable vehicles you'll ever drive. Now's the time to get a Toyota hybrid. Set up a time to test drive one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Centerline Freight Services in Lakeville reminds listeners of the problems of local motorists texting while driving. This habit has become a deadly problem across America as 21% of all car crashes now involve cell phones, and at any given moment there are 800,000 Americans texting or making calls while driving. This message from Centerline Freight Services in Lakeville, licensed, bonded, and accredited, specializing in transportation between the continental U.S. and Canada. Visit centerlinefreight.com.
This is Elizabeth, the host of Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth. Each week, our show explores higher consciousness and pathways to freedom with heart-centered thought leaders. We shine a light on your brilliance, what you pay attention to, and how that has supported your process of becoming free from the heavier issues that affect you. There are many pathways to sovereignty. Join us each week as we explore your sovereignty and consider what's your pathway to becoming free. That's Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth, Sundays at 11 a.m. or anytime on your favorite podcast app.
I'm Patty Vasquez, and I'm thrilled to be the newest addition to AM 950's lineup, weeknights at 11 p.m. As a talk show host, comedian, actor, and writer, I'll bring you laughter and insight. Join me as we tackle important issues and empower you to make a difference at the local level. From highlighting talented artists to showcasing inspiring activists, we'll celebrate their work and ignite positive change together. So join me, Patty Vasquez, weeknights at 11 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
If you've made the decision to level your home and build new or to renovate, hire Better Futures Minnesota to take it apart by hand. Think before you scrap. Think of the energy and greenhouse gases saved by diverting what can be reused and recycled from the landfill. Better Futures Minnesota can do it for you. Hennepin County residents and public entities, there are funds available to make the environmentally right thing to do comparable to demolition. Check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com.
SeniorCommunities.guide is your free online website to find housing, care, and resources for seniors in Minnesota. Use the powerful, award-winning search tool to quickly improve your search. You will have all the information you need to contact providers directly without any hassle. Start your search now at SeniorCommunities.guide and follow us on Facebook for interesting articles, helpful advice, and how older adults are changing the world.
SeniorCommunities.guide.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 59, then a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms Saturday afternoon with a high of 86. 30 Bales celebrates the best of what Midwestern cuisine has to offer. Located in Hopkins at the corner of Main Street and 11th Avenue with plenty of free parking. Visit their website at 30bales.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Hey, you might want to think about what does Mayor Jacob Fry think of all of this? I'm going to read from the New York Times story on this now. The work is a foundation for a very health of our city, said Mayor Jacob Fry. Minneapolis, we have the power here to effect lasting change and effect generational change when we can embrace that. Officials said negotiating a consent decree could take months, and Fry suggested that there are some potential sticking points were already emerging. Earlier in the year, Minneapolis entered into a separate consent decree in state court with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, which can reach some of its same damning conclusions about the city's police after its own investigation. Fry said the city would want there to be one single monitor overseeing both the state agreement and any federal agreement. I can tell you right now, the feds have already said we're superseding this, any state thing. They would need assurances that the other two agreements would not contradict each other. Justice Department officials emphasized that their report included separate violations of federal law that would need to be monitored by a federal judge, not a state official. So basically, they're already saying, no, this is going to be from the feds. And Mayor Fry, if I can say something, can you please just shut up? Shut up. Hang your head in shame and just quietly walk away. Don't sit there and say, you can't do this. Have you read the report? How are you not demanding people being dragged back here and charged with a crime? So don't sit there and give me this, well, we got to make sure we protect them. We got this thing here. We can't really do this. No. Leadership from you was that bus left the station years ago, dude. You acting as if, hey, now I'm interested. Shut up, dude. Just hang your head in shame. Hang your head in shame and say to the federal government, all right, what do we have to do? You got to do what the state said. No. Feds, you don't seem to understand. This is such a monumental screw up that the feds are not going to do anything. Sergeant Cheryl Schmidt, the president of the union representing Minneapolis police officers, said her organization had not been provided with a copy of the federal report. Boy, it's a doozy. Sarge, you should probably read that there. She said union leaders were reviewing it and intended to comment on its findings later. You can just, once again, it speaks for itself. Oh, are you now promising you're going to really get stern on? Oh, we're going to take that 8-page flow chart and knock it down to 7. Oh, you don't know. It will take years still, but still it'll be light speed. Oh gosh, yeah. Please, just everyone hang your head in shame. I brought the Justine Devon shooting, the unarmed, they quoted the racist Christmas tree. The racist Christmas tree. A racist Christmas tree. They also brought up, and this is Aaron Clems, I believe, was the guy that broke the story for Southwest Journal, Sahan Journal. I can't remember. It might have been Sahan Journal. That basically the racist remarks by an officer to young Somali people about Black Hawk Down, and I think it was something to the effect of talking about how glad he was that all the U.S. military shot up all you guys in Black Hawk Down. I think that was that guy. Yeah. I'll clarify that. I'll repost the article a little bit later. It described the incident when the officer threw a handcuffed man to the ground face first. An officer drew his gun on a teenager over a suspected theft of $5 burrito. Because that's right, you got to shoot them if they got a $5 burrito. And get ready, conservative guy. Yeah, damn right they should be shot. That's a $5. It was a damn burrito. I would have shot him. See, that's what we need to get out of the Minneapolis Police Department, is people that think a $5 burrito is worth taking a human life for. A $5 burrito. And he pulled a gun on him. Another one, an officer repeatedly punched a protester who was already restrained. Minneapolis police routinely discriminate against Black people and Native Americans. I brought that up early. The Minneapolis Police Department officers frequently used an indiscriminate force, failing to distinguish between peaceful protests and those committing crimes, the report said. Oh, we saw that happen. How many times did you see people peacefully protesting and the police came on out there and started, cracking skulls? That's what they did. All the while, the Justice Department found complaints about officer misconduct were mishandled or brushed aside, while the officers accused of serious misconduct were assigned to train new police officers. The report said Mr. Chauvin, in the years before his murder, Mr. Floyd had used excessive force with other incidents in which multiple other Minneapolis Police Department officers stood by, did not stop him. The officers who do a heinous thing, they almost always have a history and a pattern, said L. Chris Stewart, who represented Mr. Floyd's family in civil lawsuits against following the murder. The supervision failed. The officer didn't get corrected, and they wound up killing somebody. Yeah. Troubles with Minneapolis police force, which have faced protests and other killings in the years before Mr. Floyd's death, have deepened. Hundreds of officers have left their jobs, some receiving disability payments for PTSD that they say linked to the unrest. Well, Link to the unrest or the link to the PTSD you've given many people in the city of Minneapolis. Minneapolis chose the new police chief last year. Brian O'Hara rose to the top of the list candidates in large part because he helped oversee an implementation of a federal consent decree in New Jersey. O'Hara said the road ahead would be challenging for his new city. As a matter of fact, the only one that seems to be talking any common sense right now is O'Hara. This is a necessary step, the chief said in the interview. This will be the way for the community to begin to heal and for the department to begin to heal and for all of us to try to move forward. As Mayor Fry is out there saying, hey, you guys can't, we got this other one. Just don't, we need to make sure we have our protections here. O'Hara's out there. Yeah, no, we need to implement it. This is not anything we didn't already know. It's now laid out and it's undeniable. It's undeniable. This was something truly unique and disgusting. This wasn't like every other police department. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. And almost encouraged abuse of residents of the city. Encouraged. Officers breaking the law left and right, and the management team of the police department doing everything in their power to make sure that not only was there no discipline, but they got promotions. And then when they knew this consent decree was coming on down, well, I need to leave now and I need a PTSD check because I'm going to go start a different business. Drag them all back by the short hairs. By the short hairs. Drag them all back here. Put them on trial. For anyone involved in any of these cases, how in the hell do you not prosecute them? And demand that they reimburse the city for for anything that they got from us. This was not created overnight. This was created over 20 years of Republicans basically saying, as long as Minneapolis Police Department shows up for fundraisers, shows up for campaign events, helps us out and pushes the idea we're the tough on crime Republicans, we won't do anything to stop any of this behavior. As a matter of fact, have we heard from any Republicans today? Any of the Republicans that were proudly standing with these Minneapolis Police Department officials while they were doing this behavior? We have photos. We have images of you guys sitting there with Minneapolis Police Department people as the police department was doing this stuff. And you had your arm around them or you're shaking your hand talking about tough on crime, tough on abuse, racist abuse. Is any Republican defending these guys now? Bob Kroll's Minneapolis Police Department. If you walk into the job thinking that you're going into a military occupation zone and looking at everyone around you as the enemy, you get this. And that is the big difference. And we can also address and approach the idea, the concept of if we've over-militarized our police departments. Have we turned them into this mentality that it's warrior training? Remember, we've talked about warrior training numerous times. Warrior training. And, tanks and Uzis. And I think about when they used the no-knock warrant and shot the guy in his own apartment. We tried to stop them and they went around us. They went around. They were intent on doing what they were going to do because they didn't care. There wasn't going to be any consequences. Kick open someone's door and gun them down because that's the Minneapolis police. This militarization, because that's what you see in, military zones. I mean, isn't it what Minneapolis Police Department was doing? Isn't that kind of playing out to what it was like in Vietnam? People kicking open doors of houses, raiding them, pulling guns on people who aren't doing anything. punching people just because they could. This is the worst of us. That's all this is. And it wasn't just built in one day. It was cultured and nurtured, and it was created with intent, with design. I hope O'Hara can fix this. He seems to, like I said, he seems to have had experience with this. A lot of it's going to be, I imagine the union right now is probably calling up every Republican saying, we need you to go out there and fight this. Label is political. I'm going to guess. I don't know what you guys are going to do, because right now there's no accountability for you guys whatsoever. Clearly, as this report says. And I don't think you guys want to change that. This goes back when I said that they had to have the ballot initiatives. I said, the problem that you have is that unless you figure out a way to cancel out that union contract, which has been, adjusted to where there's no accountability ever for police officers, that you're not going to be able to fix this. My hope is the Department of Justice is going to come on down saying, oh, no, we're going to fix this. And the next thing that's going to happen is the union is going to say, we need someone to stop this. At the end of the day, what you want to ignore is what the police department has always ignored in the city. The damage that's done to its own citizens. The fear, the threats, the real PTSD that you have invoked across the city. Your attacks on the media, your attacks on protesters, your ungodly racist harassment record of Black and Native American peoples in the city of Minneapolis. Your rush to chokehold, your rush to pull a gun, your rush to shoot first and ask questions later. You are like a military occupying force, and no police department should ever have that mentality. These are American citizens. These are the people that the side of your damn car says protect and serve, and you didn't do that. That's no one else's fault but your own. People should be going to jail. A lot of them. And unless your entire attitude is, I'm going with the DOJ's report here because this is horrible. Can you please just shut up and get out of the way? Because you're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have wood stoves that qualify for the new 30% income tax credit. A great opportunity to get an efficient stove and heat with renewable energy.
Right now, avoid supply chain delays, avoid the fall rush, avoid bad weather installation, and save money because we are now discounting the price on all chimney parts you need for installation for any of Woodland's new stoves and fireplaces.
We can help you with the stove and the chimney planning. Want to do it yourself? We will help you determine all the parts needed with our installation know-how. We have been installing wood stoves and fireplaces for over 45 years.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Save money. Take advantage of the spring and summer chimney discounts when you buy any fireplace product right now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
2023 is here, and you can make it the year of the Eagle with the National Eagle Center. You and your family can enjoy exciting Eagle experiences, including field trips, private habitat tours, and exclusive behind-the-scenes tours. Meet live eagles up close, view bald eagles and golden eagles in the wild, and receive personal one-on-one education with dedicated and knowledgeable Eagle experts as you journey into the world of eagles like never before. Learn more and plan your unforgettable Eagle experience today at nationaleaglecenter.org/experiences.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism, with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world, and you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you, and you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. I highly encourage you to read that report, by the way. It is. And like I said, all this stuff was going on as Republicans could not get photo ops with Minneapolis cops fast enough. Think about that for a second. Think about that. And will we hear any police officers or any Republicans condemn this behavior? Any of it? Any of it? Any of the behavior? The punching of the guy when he was handcuffed? Or will we get, Matt, you don't seem to understand. Being a police officer is a tough job. They don't do this in other police departments, at least not on a scale that was done in Minneapolis. Bob Kroll's police department. All right, real quick here. I want to touch on one last thing here because there has been something hilarious that has happened in the last 2 days. And it has to do with this Republican arguing that they've got Joe Biden, the corruption. We got him on corruption. It seems like their entire thing has blown up in their face because they got to a point now where they have to produce the quote unquote evidence, and whether or not they knew the evidence didn't exist or just surprised by it, they now have to come on out and have to admit that there's no evidence here. Ron Johnson was forced to admit the evidence proving Biden's corruption may not actually exist. An FBI informant allegedly told investigators that a Ukrainian oligarch claimed to have 17 recordings of the president. Now, by the way, all this stuff was done as Rudy Giuliani was over there. So, and all this allegation shows up on one sheet of FBI paper. There's no other evidence that anything like this ever happened. Nothing else. And that is the basis for this entire investigation. They said the oligarch had 17 recordings of the president and his son Hunter Biden that could prove bribery allegations. But Johnson told Newsmax Thursday that Republicans were unable to substantiate any of that. We don't know, and Senator Grassley has never said they existed. That's a very different stance. Now they're basically arguing, we're not saying that the tapes exist. We heard that they did. The top House Republicans have also admitted, Jim Jordan and Oversight Committee Chair James Comer have conceded they don't know whether the tapes exist. Matt Gaetz admitted on Tuesday that he only has an allegation against President Joe Biden, despite suggestions by Republicans who say the former vice president likely received bribes from foreign governments, just allegations. During an interview with conservative podcast host Steve Bannon, Gaetz revealed that he had personally debriefed the FBI whistleblower with apparent dirt on Biden's family. I found his claims to be credible, but I want to be clear about something. Even what's on the 1023 form is only an allegation. They don't have any evidence of it. Now, a top Democrat, the White House Oversight Committee wants the FBI to tell what the mysterious bribery allegation against Joe Biden. Jamie Raskin on Friday asked the FBI to make public his analysis of the tips substantiated to the Bureau in 2020 that a foreign national claimed to have paid Biden $5 million when he was the vice president. Publicly, the Justice Department has said nothing about the allegation. Republicans have run with the rumor, just the rumor, but they basically now they're all backing away and saying, we don't know. We're not saying it's actually true. And I'm going to read this one quote here from Raskin here. Pardon me a second here. Let's see. The FBI explained this basically Attorney General, former U.S. Attorney General William Barr assigned Scott Brady, then the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Pennsylvania, to assess the material. Brady later determined wasn't worth investigating fully. Barr acknowledged at the time, and the Justice Department was taking a very skeptical look at Giuliani's material. The FBI explained the assessment was closed because Mr. Brady's team had found insufficient evidence to warrant escalating the probe. So basically, even this is under Trump's Attorney General, they couldn't find anything. Barr said in recent week that the Pittsburgh office wasn't authorized to open an investigation and that the Justice Department passed the material along to the prosecutors in Delaware, reportedly wearing tax evasion charges against Biden, but that was it. In his letter, Raskin asked the FBI to reiterate writing the non-classified information the FBI had provided to him as well, and Comer at the end of the week. They it's just a garbage allegation that doesn't seem to have any kind of validation whatsoever, and they're now finally admitting that. So there you go. There you go. They're all running away from it because it was just made up. Now, once again, won't stop Republicans from having 5 more years of hearings on this, but still, let's just make sure we understand even the Republicans are saying it's fake. There you go. Native Roots Radio is up next. Have a fantastic weekend. We are back on a Monday. Till then, see ya.
Hi, I'm Scott Peterson with the Minnesota News Network, inviting you to join us this week for Minnesota Matters, a news, entertainment, and sports show covering everything that matters in the North Star State. Tune us in right here or at your convenience at minnesotanewsnetwork.com.
Listen to Minnesota Matters every weekend, Sunday mornings at